Right, click the links to the channel here over at SubScribestar, over Odyssey, the various other links. I got a mailbox. Thanks for all the flashlights and pocket knives and whatnot. So, adult content warning, obviously, NSFW, but I will use euphemisms because sometimes little ears have a way of finding things. So, Lily Phillips, Soul -1, Malum in se, Malum prohibita, but Malum spiritus. Evil against society versus evil against your soul. This isn't evil in and of itself. It's not deleting a child. It's not invading a country. It's not evil merely because it's prohibited. This is technically within the letter of Western various degenerate laws, but it's not within the spirit of the various founding fathers. You look at something like this and realize the society needs structure. It falls to its most bestial, base, mindless hedonism. And no, don't blame women. Left-wing women don't have agency. They don't know right from wrong. They're just basically NPCs who will do whatever the TV tells them to do. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, The Island of Dr. Moreau, I think. Lord of the Flies, the end of Return of the King, the book, not the movie. They left that out, the ending scene that, if you're listening to this channel, you're probably familiar with. The Portrait of Dorian Gray, even The Time Machine in its way. They all did their best to try to dream of nightmares of the future. And they had no idea how far society would fall. And yes, society will always have its frayed edges, but that shouldn't be celebrated. Otherwise, the whole fabric is warped. So it turns out that civilization takes work. It won't run itself. If the men of the blood of the nation release the reins of power, then parasites will just come in and take over. What I mean is, in a country like Ireland, for example, Irish men have to be in charge. And yes, Irish by blood, not by a piece of paper. Only the men who are of the people have the connection to and the ability to run countries, and men and not women, because it is what it is. It's not a guarantee that they will be good, but it has to be the starting point. And I will add, only the people of the nation should be voting. They really should be first-class citizens in their own nations. Right now, children have access to the highest form of globalist art, but we're in the mirror image world with these demons, where the Lord of the Flies value mockery of the sacred to bring low what should be honored. They subvert and corrupt whatever they touch. Prawn isn't you and your girlfriend playing dress up and trying out the new camera. That's a bit of silliness between you two people who love each other. There's no exploitation going on, and you're hiding that DVD away so you can look at it later and, look at what great shape you were in. You're not showing it to your kids. Prawn is an industry designed to destroy. I told myself a little bit there. I realized I got too specific there, but it is what it is. It's an industry designed to destroy children's brains with the most vile, twisted imagery you can imagine. And you don't have to imagine it, because you can go access it. And if you told me you had the ability to restrict it to adults, fine. I would accept that as a fair compromise. Let adults make their own decision. It's still evil, of course, but it's on a different level than where it is now, because right now children have easy access to it. The purpose of the thing is what it does. If kids are watching it and getting their view of women and adult relations from it, how men treat women, then that is what Solomon Friedman intended. There's nothing stopping kids from finding it online. And it's weird how we just let that slide. Society is not a patriarchy. A patriarchy obviously wouldn't allow this, and no, it's not a matriarchy. Both of those are still nationalist concepts, just with different leaders, and would be preferable to what we have now. The West has no guiding religion or ethno-nationalism. It's a soulless commercial zone run by parasites. The West is in name liberal democracies or a form of representative republic. That probably isn't accurate either. It's really a lizard-controlled economic zone with fungible cattle debt slaves rapidly being replaced with more obedient slaves. People compare it to Weimar, Sodom, and Gomorrah, and the blood that flowed from that. People will look on Dub Dub 2 as mere drops of wine from a slit wrist onto a white comforter compared to the oceans that are going to spill to resolve where we are now, because we're way beyond Weimar. And if you look at this girl and her deeds, fantastic, and think back to 70 years ago, 1955, whether in America or England where she is, or any country in Europe, she'd be married in the church and have 4 kids, grandkids, and stop and ask if what we have now is better. A girl treating herself as the spiritual sacrifice to Moloch, where she's with hundreds of NPCs instead of being with her husband, kids, and grandkids. This is an insane trade-off, but it's a feminist victory for Lily Phillips to be a comrade and suffer a spiritual wound that is probably going to lead her to depart this mortal coil. I'm guessing, I consulted my orb, and I looked at her and I said, she's 23 now. I go, oh, 15 years. She's got about 15 years left, and I don't see it going further than her mid-30s. The feminists can't just admit that they were wrong. Men and women have biological roles in nature. If you remove women from being mothers, then you have genocided your own people. You'll just be replaced by people from other areas who don't care about feminism or environmentalism. China pollutes more than the rest of the world combined, and they don't care. You can't make someone care. You can't make a race of people care about things that you value, because you're not fungible cogs in a globalist machine, and that's what the liberals have been taught. And there's various other ideological groups that view women as something more akin to servants. And I know they have this fantasy of the Handmaid's Tale of some kind of Christianity type of thing. And you go, that's actually doesn't exist. But literally right now you can look at, 2 billion other people where that does exist, and it's not Christian. European Christian men are probably as good as it gets. That's a harsh reality, that this idealized perfection, ivory tower type of thing, you look around the Jack Nicholson line of this is as good as it gets. Yes, that's the reality. 1950s West, men were firmly in charge, and they were men of those nations, and things were functioning, which they can't accept because the media told them that European people are bad. And they trust the media more than their own blood. That's the power of brainwashing. First of all, if you're in some similar situation, obviously doing this is a mistake. Sex isn't always sacred, but it's not supposed to be a spiritual offering to Moloch. Balenciaga, do as thou wilt. But that's the thing with these evil acts. Keep it in perspective. She didn't delete anyone. She just did something stupid and has suffered a spiritual injury, as has everyone who participated in it, whether they know it or not. And this is making a big assumption that they want to be healed from the damage, or they even recognize it. And this is a spiritual injury and requires spiritual healing if she wants it. This doesn't have to be the end of the world if you want to grow beyond it. But the actual malum in se, the pure evil, is the people above this. This is the lower level. It's a spectrum of evil. And the internet sites, which are mostly owned by a few companies, MindGeek is one of them. That's where Solomon Friedman's name keeps popping up. And when you punch him in the search engines, he's treated with remarkably soft kid gloves by the media. Odd. Those people are actually evil, either demonic entities or doing the work of them. They can't be redeemed. Those demons must be excised. No healthy society would allow this. It would be considered a spiritual sickness and be banned for the health of the nation. But the West no longer has nations, i.e. Natal, a group of the tribe. The West is a diverse economic zone. The people don't matter, the race, culture, traditions that are downstream from the blood. Nothing changes until people accept that. There's no spirit of the people, no shared morals, ethics, or common values when you have a diverse country. Social cohesion is destroyed almost instantly. And you can, if you're a left-winger listening to this, you can look around and see that for yourself. Why can't we have walkable cities and take public transportation? Oh, would you like to discuss that? We can, but not on YouTube. The NGOs, someone was just released, acquitted for that issue of why you can't have walkable cities and public transportation. Why people prefer the cages of their cars with Smith & Wesson riding in the glove box. Cohesion is destroyed. NGOs, special globalist interest groups, take control because there's no defense against it unless you have a Natal. It goes from a nation where people follow the spirit of the law to one where lawyers are arguing the letter of the law, and eventually the nation is destroyed, as has happened to the West. Europe could save itself, but it would require spiritual awakening and obviously conflict at the largest scale to cleanse itself. Reading between the lines there. Do you celebrate Eugenia Clooney as well as you celebrate this woman? She's an adult making her own decisions. Go girl. How do you set moral limits on a society when it has no moral guidelines? The West isn't Christian, pagan, or ethno-nationalist. It's like there's no fatherland concept in a European country. It's just a commercial zone controlled by bankers. If something makes money, it's going to be a go-ahead. You can't legislate morality. But in a diverse nation, there's no united guidelines. So if it's legal by the letter of the law, it's allowed. It's why the West is being taken over, because it's weak. If the men of the nation don't take charge and simply say, oh, our way is the only way, well, then the men of other nations will simply come in and use the laws against them, And like literally, they'll just vote themselves into power. And the European women will learn that other races of people don't value women's rights at all. If this type of thing is legal, then this is the natural path for it, which begs the question, why is it and prostitution legal in several countries in the first place, or in America in several states? Because women want it, maybe. And in the modern West, or the women are the useful Waldos for the puppet masters pulling the strings. In modern West, we have to pretend that men and women in different groups are equal, which is an example of ignoring reality, but not ignoring the consequences of ignoring reality. In a diverse society, the rules have to adjust to the lowest common denominator, so you end up living in an anarcho-tyrannical police state where women can be forced into prostitution so they can serve the state, and you have no free speech or privacy rights because the lowest common denominator simply won't allow that society to function as high trust. It's game theory. A society of one people can use shame and social pressure to control the people. A diverse society can't. Again, just look around at the West and prove me wrong. So everything has to be controlled by the law, and combined with the loss of social cohesion, you get where we are now, which is beyond Weimar. There should be no OnlyFans. I shouldn't even have to say that. We should all agree on that. Or prawn, or prostitution. It's okay to simply set limits on a society and say we're gonna allow an R-rated society. Nudity, fine. That's just nudity. Some prurient content to tell stories, fine. But you can draw a line somewhere. You can say, oh yeah, OnlyFans, we can't have something like that, because we want young men to go out and meet young women in real life and exchange pheromones and read facial expressions and hear tonal inflections like we did in our generation. And start families. So for the good of society, we have to police women and protect young men from these female predators. In this scenario, the women are preying on vulnerable young men, and the people above them, the websites, all need, after legal due process, I'll skip that. We have to encourage chastity for girls to not let themselves be milked by various men. As a society, we need men to buy the cows, provide for them, start families, raise kids. Because, really, that is the simplest, crudest analogy, and it's been a problem for a long time. Society needs some degree of structure. Lily Phillips is the proof, and she's not to blame. She's just a useful idiot, probably with depression. The permissive society, the Mind Geek and Solomon Friedman's and the rest, all must be, I'll skip that as well. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Don't feed post in the comments about any recent events or anything you'd do after a legal due process and whatnot. Seek legal redress of grievance. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.